The Duggar compound was completely silent on the morning of Jim Bob Duggar's passing. There was a frightening, heavy hush, like the quiet before a storm, without the sound of children laughing, distant commands, or Bible texts outlining responsibilities. Michelle Duggar was always the first to awaken. Her body had been trained by years of routine and discipline to get up before the sun, pray, and make plans before anything happened. But this morning, something didn't feel quite right. She was filled with dread and felt a thudding in her chest, as if the house were holding its breath. She glanced at Jim, who was not in bed, and assumed he was either organizing invoices in the study or had gone to pray, as he often did when his thoughts were racing. Then a sound, so gentle and human, reached her ears. "I would like to personally thank everyone for attending. Duggar, 24, is this." With a loud, strained gasp that brought him crashing to the floor, Michelle jumped out of the bed with a large swallow. Her feeble hand grasped to his chest, while her powerful palm gripped it hard. The air, as if holding on to nothingness, he fell to his knees, his face pallid and contorted in pain. Looking up at the sky, he appeared small for the first time in decades. With wide, terrified eyes, Michelle heard him whisper, in a barely discernible voice, "I am unable to breathe." After a moment of inaction, she screamed in fear and eventually dialed 911. Her voice trembled as she prayed fervently, her fingers trembling under the weight of her grief. "Please, Lord, don't treat him in this manner at this time. He is your vessel. He is yours." As the ambulances sped through Jim's enormous front doors, Michelle knelt next to her husband and cried while whispering scripture. Bob's pulse was weak and his lips were bluish as he was ready to fall asleep. Upstairs, the kids had begun to stir. As if it were a spiritual earthquake rather than just a physical catastrophe, the senior weekend guests rushed down the stairs half-dressed as the children peered over the balcony in utter shock. As physicians and nurses quickly inserted electrodes, yelled orders, and requested scans and stat checks, the hospital descended into chaos. She sat in stunned silence as she was escorted into a chilly waiting room with beige seats and a TV on the wall that was silently playing skincare commercials. The strain was so intense that Michelle's knuckles turned white. When a nurse came to speak to Michelle, she could not remember any phrases that had to do with a big obstruction, a catastrophic heart attack, an arrhythmia, or a life support system. As she nodded, she was reminded of their first date, his proposal in the old church, and his hand on her growing belly after every kid. "You didn't show enough loyalty," the stern, awful voice in her head then said, surrounding her breast like a serpent. "You let your husband down. You opened your house to Satan." As she began to whisper to herself, "Lord, hit me instead. Give it to me, not him. He speaks for you." She seemed preoccupied with someone else, Jim, when the chaplain showed there, taking her mind off the nurse's incessant attempts to address her by name. In the critical care unit, Bob was in the midst of a terrible cycle, with nurses changing his medication and checking on him while his chest rose and fell like a dying tree surrounded by tubes and equipment, beeped and hissed. The father of the Duggar family is going through a serious health issue, which is a startling and very emotional turn of events. Jim Bob Duggar, the longtime head of the well-known huge family from TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, reportedly suffered a devastating heart attack that shocked family members and viewers alike. Family members described the situation as truly horrific. According to reports, Jim Bob, 59, was at his house in Arkansas when it happened. Family members acted immediately after responders were sent to the Duggar compound. And someone close to the family said, "It was chaos. Everyone was terrified." Michelle was terrified. The younger kids were crying. It was the scariest thing they had ever experienced. A health crisis no one saw coming. Despite his previous public image of power and control, Jim Bob may have experienced health problems as a result of the stress of ongoing scandals, the end of counting on, and family disputes. Supporters have long speculated that the pressures of managing a large household and being the subject of multiple public crises must have consequences. According to a long-standing friend, he always acted like the rock of the family. However, under pressure, even rocks can fracture. According to insiders, Jim Bob had been ignoring warning signs like fatigue, chest pain, and dyspnea, all of which were written off as stress. Regretfully, the symptoms worsened into a full-blown heart attack late last week. Michelle Duggar, spiraling in the aftermath. Michelle Duggar had a terrible time. Known for her calm demeanor and unwavering faith, her loved ones say she has seen a significant transformation in recent days. According to a family friend, she's hardly eating or sleeping. She continues, "What would I do without him?" She is getting a lot of help from her older girls. Since Jim Bob was taken to the hospital, Michelle is reported to have remained by his side. She has reportedly been leading prayer circles, reading scripture aloud at his bedside, and trying to remain strong for the children at home. But behind closed doors, she's blowing up. "She's spiraling," another insider said. "You can tell she's scared, even though she's trying to keep it together." The reunion of the Duggar family. Despite the Duggars' growing estrangement due to years of conflicting ideas, public arguments, and lifestyle changes, this disaster seems to be bringing them back together. Jessa, Johannah, and even several of the estranged Duggar sons have been seen close to the family's Arkansas property. "Everyone is sacrificing everything to be with their dad," said a neighbor. "It's bringing out a lot of emotion, vulnerability, and unity in them that we haven't seen in a long time." Even Jill Duggar Dillard, who has been conspicuously distant from her parents, reportedly checked in private. Whether this tragedy is the beginning of repairing long-shattered family ties is still up in the air. Social media is flooded with fan support. When word spread, fans took to social media to express their love, support, and prayers. No matter how you feel about Jim Bob, this is terrible. Prayers for healing are being sent. Michelle and her family must be going through a lot right now. Love is on its way. Perhaps this will make the Duggars closer. Too little time is available for drama. The critics' worries about the timeliness and privacy of the news were mostly overpowered by waves of empathy and sorrow. Hospital update. What we now know about Jim Bob's health. At the time of writing, Jim Bob Duggar's status is stable but critical. Hospital staff are reportedly keeping a careful eye on him and have unblocked his arteries. A source with knowledge of the medical staff claims that it was touch and go, but he is a warrior. An important achievement was that he made it through the night. Doctors have reportedly recommended complete rest, stress reduction, and long-term lifestyle changes. It includes exercise, diet, and perhaps most challenging for Jim Bob, a respite from managing every facet of the Duggar family's life. What's up next for the Duggar legacy? With Jim Bob's health in question, there is still a significant worry. What will become of the Duggar legacy? For many years, Jim Bob has served as the family's primary organizer, managing everything from homeschooling to finances to media appearances. If he doesn't fully recover, there may be a big leadership void in the family. Some believe that Johannah Duggar or John David would assume more active responsibilities. Some believe that this incident could cause even more Duggar children to fully give up the way of life. According to a family acquaintance, this could be a turning point. Even if they have always looked to him as the guiding voice, they might now need to start working things out on their own. A request for action? Supporters and lovers of the Duggar family saw this sudden health problem as a shocking warning that anything may happen at any time, even to those who seem to be in control of their life. The fact that the Duggars are genuine people behind the headlines and reality TV fame is easy to overlook. For Michelle, whose entire adult life has been centered around Jim Bob and their children, the future might now seem very different. The source claims that she's already talking about changes. Slowing down, giving the kids more freedom, and spending more time in nature. Maybe this was the wake-up call they needed.